Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to be doing the very easy web challenge Gunhead from the Cyber Apocalypse 2023 CTF from Hack the Box. So originally I was going to do this, like film my just first attempt at it. I hadn't looked at it or anything. I thought that might be helpful. I could figure if you're watching this video, you're probably pretty new to CTFs or web exploitation, so maybe it would be helpful to see someone go through it for the first time. And then my internet decided to take a dive. So after I'd already kind of gotten through it, so that sort of ruined it. But it's probably better anyway because there's not a lot in this challenge. So just watching me look at source code is probably pretty boring. But essentially, what I did was downloaded the files, opened it, and then just kind of went through it. And the key things I saw were that the flag is just being copied into the root directory. And then I complained a lot about how this is PHP. And then I got to this file and saw this comment. So usually whenever you see a comment, especially like in a CTF or something, like it's usually a pretty big clue or a hint. And given that this is a very easy challenge and probably aimed towards helping people new to it, like this is a pretty good hint. Like, do I need to sanitize user input before passing it into shell exec? So if you're doing this for the first time and you're kind of lost and you're feeling overwhelmed or whatever, just like key in on any hints you get. Or even if like you don't get a hint, but you see something that like you might think, oh, hey, this seems weird to me. Like doesn't matter what it is, honestly. Like your goal is just hopefully it was to have fun, but also be learning. So say you're just going through and you're like, oh, match route, like what is, like somehow that tingles your senses and you're like, oh, I think there's some vulnerability in here. Like just start Googling, find out what match route does, read the documentations, go through everything. Like even if it turns out that this is like just a rabbit hole that leads nowhere, like who cares? You learned a lot. And next time, unfortunately, if you have to look at PHP code, like you'll probably remember a little bit about it and you'll know things. Like I don't remember what most of this does, but it kind of looks familiar because I've looked at other challenges that were PHP and I can just kind of tell that this is all sort of like boilerplate stuff. So I don't remember, but I'm sure at some point I probably, I know for sure at some point I had no idea what any of this does. And I probably spent like many hours on some challenge, frustrated as hell because it was raked easy and I couldn't find it. And I'm going through, trying to find what string talk does. It's frustrating and it's easy to feel like you're wasting your time, but like really that's how you learn. That's how you get to the point where you can make a crappy video that's you just looking through source code because you have the confidence to know like, I'm probably going to be able to find it. And even though I don't exactly know what everything is, like I've seen enough of it that I feel confident that I've noticed something that's out of place. So when you do get a good hint, like do the same thing that all that other stuff that I just rambled on about is like a skill to develop. Like working on that is a skill. Like reading documentations is like a skill. You get better at it the more you do it. So do it. If you don't know what shell exec is, like open up a browser window and type in PHP. It helps if you can type shell exec. And read what it does. Like this function, where does it say what it does? The command, the command that will be executed, and it returns a string containing the output from executed command. So that's like a big thing. Another thing with like more experience, you learn anything with an exec, like shell exec, system exec, all these things are executing commands. And that's usually what we want to try and get to happen. So not sanitizing user input is also pretty much the key to almost all the web challenges, is finding what input we can control and then how to make the program do something that developers didn't intend for it to be able to do, something they overlooked. But it all basically that pipeline that leads us to the goal we want almost always comes down to what input can we control. So user input is always the most important thing to look through when you're looking through a program to figure out if there's something you can exploit. Find the user input, follow it all the way through the code. So here we see, it looks like this, I haven't actually looked at the web page yet, but I'm assuming it's some kind of web page where we can ping. This is all kind of a standard web challenge where like ping, and it'll allow you ping an IP. So I'm assuming that's what this is going to be, but we're also going to add our own code to this and get it to execute something we want. And in this case, what we want is just to read the flag in the root directory. So if you're not familiar, like just Googling and reading about shell exec and these different things will probably lead you to what kind of exploit this is called, and this, or what kind of vulnerability this is. And this is command injection. So what you'd want to do is you could do command injection cheat sheet, and you'll get a lot. Hacktricks is good. Payload all the things. All these sites are good, and it gives you, shows you examples on what different things you can do and how to get command injection. And there might even be, if I can get my, oops. Well, whatever. I was going to search for, but I can't resize this. I was going to search for ping. It might even have that exact, I guess it doesn't, exact example in here. But anyway, what we're going to do is essentially, well, let me go to the web page. If I can find my browser. Sorry. We're going to go to the web page, and well, it looks like a pretty cool website. I'm going to guess one of these commands is probably ping. Ping device IP. I don't know. Let's just try. Oops. And then let's go into burp, and we can see here we're sending a post request to this API endpoint, and we're pinging it at, or we control this. Well, we control all of this, right? But in the code, it was looking for. I don't remember what it was, but basically it's going to take that, or checking to see if there's an IP in the JSON body, which if we do that, there is. And essentially what we're going to do is we are going to just add a semicolon to it, and then we're going to run another command in it. So in Linux, the semicolon is kind of like sort of like how it is in programming languages. Like that's the end of that line, or that's the end of that command, but can go ahead and start a new one. So like this should send us, so it ran that command, and then it also ran, tells us who am I, we're the www user, which if you look in the Docker file, we can see there is that user. Or maybe it actually sets it up in one of these, whatever. So what we can do is we can just cat the flag in the root directory. And then this will execute that command, and then execute the second command, and we see the flag is that. So pretty straightforward challenge. This is kind of a typical kind of easy beginner challenge you'll see, and I don't know why, but they always usually use ping. And yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully you got something out of that. And if you're watching this video because you weren't able to get the challenge, like I hope like you at least learned a lot. Because again, like that's probably for most people that's why we're all here. That's why we're all doing things. I mean, that's why I make videos. Like making videos helps me learn these things better and remember it better than if I were just doing it on my own and then, that's it. So if your goal is doing this because it's learning and it's also fun, but like, don't get discouraged if you weren't able to get it and you had to come watch this video and some idiot ramble on for 10 minutes to like try and learn some stuff. Cause like that's all the time you spent not getting it. You were still making progress. You were still learning. You were developing skills and you were doing things that's going to help you with experience. And, down the road, that knowledge is going to come into play. So that's my like pep talk to tell you to feel good about yourself. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. That's video. If you got something out of it and wanted to like or subscribe or comment or whatever, that'd be pretty cool. Otherwise, yeah, take care.